Hey guys, so last week I ventured into San Francisco to play Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for over an hour. So I thought I'd put together a video preview to talk about some of the new details I learned as well as my overall thoughts on the game. Now please keep in mind I don't have footage or screenshots of everything I saw, so it may not match up perfectly. Now if you don't already know, the game takes place a few years after the events of the original Luigi's Mansion. Since then, Professor Egad has now taken to studying the peaceful ghosts of Evershade Valley. But things don't stay peaceful for long when the Dark Moon, which has a calming effect on the ghosts, explodes all of a sudden, causing the apparitions to become hostile. It then falls on Luigi's shoulders to keep the ghosts in check while he attempts to solve the mystery of the Dark Moon's destruction while Egad helps out from a safe distance. But to restore the order of things, Luigi will have to explore a number of different mansions in Evershade Valley, of which I was able to try 2. Gloomy Mansion, which is the first one in the game, as well as Old Clockworks. Each mansion appears to adhere to a specific theme. While Gloomy Mansion is most reminiscent of the original Luigi's Mansion's, mansion, Old Clockworks is based heavily around machinery with an emphasis on, you guessed it, clocks. Now each mansion is actually split into different missions, or mashins as I like to call them. For instance, there's actually 4 different missions in Gloomy Mansion, though Nintendo wouldn't say whether the amount varies for each level. Now each mission does typically feature a single overall objective, but you generally have to complete a bunch of smaller ones first. Thankfully, Egad will help you keep things straight by giving Luigi access to a strange Nintendo DS looking device known as the Dual Scream. Do you see what they did there? Not only does it allow him to contact you with mission updates, but it also displays a persistent map on the bottom screen showing the mansion's layout as well as the location of your next objective. Although each subsequent mission usually does involve traversing through some rooms that you've seen before, you'll also stumble upon all new ones that weren't accessible earlier. Splitting the game up in this way lends it a more structured feel than the previous one, while also allowing for the ability to replay specific missions to find more treasure and better your score. But treasure also has another, more important purpose this time around. You can actually cash it in for upgrades to Luigi's equipment, though unfortunately we weren't able to see this firsthand and Nintendo wasn't giving specifics. Beyond the overall level structure and upgradable equipment, the core gameplay of Luigi's Mansion has received a few notable changes too. And perhaps the biggest one is how you actually stun ghosts in order to capture them this time around. Unlike in the first Luigi's Mansion where you simply had to catch them in the beam of your flashlight, you now need to charge your flashlight first before unleashing a powerful blast of light, and the longer you charge it, the greater the range. If you catch a ghost in the blast, it'll remain stunned for a short time, allowing you to start vacuuming him up. Like the original, you can decrease the ghost's health faster by tilting the control stick in the opposite direction. But now you can also briefly increase the vacuum suction ability after filling a meter, which deals even more damage. And not only that, but Luigi's gained a new evasive maneuver in the form of a jump that allows him to dodge projectiles while sucking enemies up. Beyond the main ghost, you'll also come across boos as well, but they work a little differently. Because the boos are able to move from room to room, you'll have to track them down using another new ability, the Dark Light. Once you gain access to this power, it allows you to turn on a rainbow-colored beam that reveals secret things in the environment, such as the trail the boos leave behind that you can use to trace them through the mansion. But boos aside, there are also invisible objects hidden all over the mansions that can only be revealed in the same way. The catch is that once you reveal something that's hidden, little energy balls will pop out for only a brief period of time, and if you don't suck them all up fast enough, they will return to the object hiding it from view once again. And as you might have guessed, these invisible objects play a key part in many of the game's puzzles. In fact, puzzles play an even larger role in Dark Moon than they have before. In the original Luigi's Mansion, most of the puzzles revolved around figuring out how to actually capture the main ghosts themselves, whereas the puzzles in Dark Moon are far more environmentally focused. For example, to gain access to the Clockwork Mansion from the outside, you'll have to figure out how to get through the front door that's blocked by a giant clock. If only Luigi had the time. The one thing I was surprised by was how great this game looks in motion. Seriously, the trailers don't do it justice. This game looks fantastic. Especially in 3D, which works brilliantly with the corridor-based gameplay, which lends a real sense of depth to the rooms and hallways you'll explore. And though I still did see a couple instances of slowdown, the framerate issues that plagued earlier versions of the game are almost completely gone. All in all, I'm more excited than ever for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. The new additions like the Dark Light, Jump Dodge, and a greater emphasis on puzzles do a lot to mix up the gameplay. And though I'm still a little concerned by how the more mission-based gameplay will compare to the more open environment of the original, I've very much enjoyed what I've seen thus far. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and other things gaming too.